Kia ora e te whānau. My name is Rochelle Jackson, and I want to encourage your hearts today with an uplifting story of transformation. Many of you know that as a church, we partner with an organisation called Christians Against Poverty, which brings practical help and spiritual hope to those in money chaos in Aotearoa. Christians Against Poverty started in New Zealand in 2008 with a desire to see people not just overcome financial hardship, but to equip them with the tools and the means to strengthen their financial situations. Together in partnership with local churches, CAP walks alongside individuals and families that have been heavily weighed down by unmanageable debt, helping them journey towards freedom. And CAP does this through a unique partnership with local churches. CAP provides centralised expertise, creating budgets and systems, creditor negotiations, while the local church offers the love, prayer and wraparound community support that we're best placed to provide. Through our volunteers, our heart for our community and our prayers, we're not only helping families out of the money chaos they're experiencing, but we're also helping them become hopeful again. Since 2008, God has been moving through the wider CAP whānau across Aotearoa. Over 16 years, more than $116 million in debt and bills has been repaid or written off by CAP clients themselves. This is not a handout service, but we're walking alongside clients, helping them budget and repay their debts. More than 2,600 people are free from unmanageable debt, 93% of them saying that they remain debt-free. And thousands have taken steps closer to Jesus through the relationships built with partner churches. See, CAP partners with over 130 churches nationwide. And that means there's 130 local expressions of Jesus' love, bringing hope, budgeting help, prayer, and belonging to their communities. So when you support your local centre here, you are part of a bigger story, a nationwide movement to end money chaos in Jesus' name. So let's take a closer look at the impact right here. Our debt centre, Wellington Central, has visited 263 homes. We have seen more than $1.95 million in debts and bills paid or written off. And money saved through the client's rights advocacy team is $68,000. These are the high interest loans or unnecessary fines that clients get from unfair lenders written off. So we're not just helping people manage money, we're helping restore dignity. We're bringing hope and offering the love of Jesus in action. So now I'd love to share a powerful story of transformation, how Gemma's life has changed through CAP and through the local church. So let's watch this together.
I always felt alone growing up, and I always felt like I was by myself. Everything I did growing up, I had to learn the hard way. I had to make a lot of mistakes, and I needed Jessie to have everything because I didn't have any of that growing up. I used to take loans out to the point I was in thousands of dollars worth of debt. When I spent money on things, it filled that void for a moment. But then I'd always slip back into feeling alone. Because I had so much debt, I wasn't able to get my own car. So I walked everywhere. We didn't do anything as a family. I hardly spent any time at home. My life was like a routine. Through holiday periods and Christmas periods, I was doing midnight shifts. I ended up in a really hard time of my life where I fell into really deep depression. Like, who am I? What am I meant to be doing? Why am I even here? And it got to the point where I tried to commit suicide and I gave Jessie up to my mum. I guess the only thing that kept me going was being Jessie's mum. Right from the phone call that I made to CAP, the only word that comes to my mind is I felt loved. I wasn't judged. They looked at me first and then we talked about my money and my debt. They wanted to know about me, the CAP workers really care about each person. They gave me tools to budget my money wisely. They taught me a lot about savings as well. I started to listen and I wanted help. Clint invited me to a camp in Rotorua, and when he invited me, I suffered from a lot of anxiety and self-doubt. I walked in with no worth. I actually sorted out a plan of how I could leave. And I was waiting in the kitchen, and Katie and Mele came and talked about God's love. I realized for the first time in my life that I wasn't alone. And I just remember sitting there, and I remember my heart racing. They just looked at me and I said, I want that. She was like, you can have it. And I was like, no, I really want that. Like everything that you guys are talking about, I want that. I want that. And that's when Katie said, well, you can have it. And I was like, well, what do I have to do to get it? And she was like, well, it's free. And I was like, let's do it. And I gave my heart to Jesus that night. I started questioning God. One of the first questions that I asked him was, show me who I am. From the time I asked that question, he kept showing me this mountain. I hated nature. I hated getting dirty. I hated anything to do with nature. And I was like, yeah, I'm not climbing that mountain. One day I went through a really hard time and was like, okay, I'll climb that mountain. So I climbed Mount Tauhara. And you know when you climb a mountain and it really hurts your muscles? Well, he said to me, release all your hurt, like the hurt in your muscles. So as I was climbing Mount Tauhara, I started saying all these things that made me angry, and I released them right to the top. When I got to the top, I had this overwhelming feeling of God say to me, you did make it, and you can make it again, and you can make it again. Katie said, you're free, you're debt-free. And it took me a day to realize I was debt-free, and then I was really excited. I started making goals about saving money and for my future. The more I came out in nature, it reminds me of God's creation and how beautiful it is and how beautiful He is and just how much He thinks of me. Like every time I'm out here, God shows me something different about myself. If I didn't find Kat and I didn't give my heart to Jesus, I probably wouldn't be here. Ko roa pehu te maunga, ko whanganui te awa, ko Aotea te waka, ko Āti Haunui a Paparangi te iwi. My name is Gemma 4. 4 years ago, I was really lost, but now I'm found.
It's so awesome, eh? Such a powerful story of moving from darkness to light. And the beautiful truth is that this ministry doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people like you have said yes to praying and to doing. I know that many of you are already a part of this journey, and we are extremely grateful. But today, if this message has tugged at your heart, I want to give you a simple invitation. There is a really practical way that you can get involved today. Volunteer. We're looking for support workers and volunteers to journey alongside families in practical ways, like attending visits, offering encouragement, delivering meals, or simply being a friendly face who shows up. You don't need to be a budgeting expert, but you just need to have a willing heart to support these families. If this is not for you, we have other ways to get involved, like people who provide baking for our clients, prayers, or becoming a financial supporter. So if you want to know more, email cap@thestreet.org.nz. Together, we're not just helping people out of money chaos, we're walking them into freedom through Jesus.